Clovis Casali, he's been soaking up the atmosphere. Clovis, the ceremony is underway right now. Tell us a bit about what's happening.
Well, indeed, there is currently behind me traditional dances, artistic performances to greet these 26 artifacts that have just arrived, at the presidential palace. And let me tell you, it was an emotional moment. When the trucks entered the palace, loaded, of course, with these 26 artifacts, carried carefully in sealed boxes, well, it was silence. Long minutes of silence until the first box with the throne of the king of Abomey at the time was taken off the truck, and then there was the national anthem of Benin. Up to 200 guests here, and you have the kingdoms that once made up Benin that are represented here. Several kings, very important local figures here, and of course the president of Benin, Patrice Talon. Truly a day of victory for him. He's the one who negotiated with Emmanuel Macron, the French president, to be able to finally get these pieces of art back, so important in the history of Benin. One art critic put it this way. He said that this was heritage-defining pieces, a bit like the crown jewels in the UK. So that just tells you how important they are for Benin. So this ceremony here, an important moment for the country, a historic day for Benin, but also for the whole of Africa. And it's the first large-scale act of restitution from a former colonial power to Africa.
And there's been lots of excitement, hasn't there, Clovis, in the streets of Benin today? I know you've been out talking to people. What have you been hearing?
Boiling temperatures, but that didn't prevent hundreds, if not thousands of people from gathering in the streets, actually along the road, the long road from the airport where the plane landed from France to the presidential palace. So of course we went to talk to them. We asked them how they felt on this very special day. There were young people telling us that they only saw pictures of these artifacts, of these highly valuable pieces of art in their school books back in the primary school, and that finally soon they'd be able to see these pieces with their own eyes, so they were delighted. Of course, we also spoke to the older generations, who were telling us that this was a dream that was coming true for them, to actually have this part of heritage back in Benin, maybe a way also to mark a new page in relations between France and Benin, between a colonial power and this country here in West Africa. So very important for these people. Let's take a listen to some of the reactions we filmed with Julien Sauvager and Tareke.
We are very happy about what's happening in our country today. It's what we've been waiting for ages. The restitution of our treasures.
This makes the men and women of Benin so happy. We are especially grateful to our president, Patrice Talon, for all that he has done.
And finally, Clovis, when will people actually be able to see these pieces with their own eyes?
Well, patience is the key word here, Nadia, because the people of Benin will have to wait a little longer. Why? Simply because authorities here don't want these pieces of art to be damaged in any way. Bear in mind, these artifacts have been in France for 130 years or so. And in France, of course, in Europe, the temperatures are much lower, very different. And so is the level of humidity. So these 26 artifacts are being kept in sealed boxes, and this in order to get used, if you will, to the temperatures here, to the climate here in Benin. So these boxes will be stored in a room in the presidential palace just behind me for 2 to 3 weeks. Then experts will be looking at them carefully to see if they can come out of these boxes and be on display for the people of Benin. What we do know is that after 3 weeks, they will be heading to Ouidah, which is a town west of Cotonou, which also played a key role, that town, in the slave trade back in the colonial time. So very symbolic place also, Ouidah. And then people of Benin will be able to see these artifacts in Ouidah. And then in a few years, these artifacts and possibly more pieces of art, Benin hoping to get many thousands more from France, but also from other nations around the world, trying to get back these pieces that are part of its history. Well, these pieces will go to the brand new museum in Abomey. It's still under construction. It's being built for artifacts from back in the colonial times. And one piece of information, France, the French Agency for Development, is allocating 35 million euros for the building of this brand new museum in Abomey. 10 million euros of grants and then 25 million euros of loans for the government of Benin.
Clovis Casali live for us there in Cotonou, Benin. Thanks very much indeed.